Hello, hello. So in today's video, there will be the second part of the Build Your Own Redis in Java series. I'll be setting up dependency injection. Why do I need to set up dependency injection? If you see this method right here, what this method is doing is it's taking a string and it's serializing into the Redis serialization protocol. Now, a string is not the only thing that I'm going to need going forward. I will also be need to serialize integers, arrays, hash maps, and every other thing the RESP serialization protocol supports. So in order to separate concerns, single responsibility principle and whatnot, I'll set up dependency injection in my project. To do that, in the pom.xml, we need to add some dependencies. I have them already. I'll just be pasting them here. This is the dependency that we need to add. This will provide dependency injection, and going forward in the future videos, I'll also add integration testing if I feel like it. I most probably will. The initial stages are easy, so I haven't done integration testing at all. But the future stages where we'll be doing replication and concurrency, integration testing will become necessary. So look forward to that. And then in the main class, we'll need to tell our application how we are going to give uh, how I'm going to make beans and where to get the beans from. So I'll be using the annotations like component, uh, only component. I'm not going to use stereotype annotations in this project. I'll just be using the @component annotation. So I need to tell my application that all my beans will have that annotation on top of it. And this line of code helps me do this. I also need to provide it an app config class. So to do that, I need to create the app config class. I'll come to the Java package. I'll create a new Java class called app config. In the app config class, I'll need to provide it annotations. I need to make it into a configuration class and I need to tell it where all my components are going to be. So I'm telling it that all my components are going to be in a package called components. I'll create a new package, components. I'll come back to the, no, I'll go to components and I'll make my first bean. So I told you that I'm going to separate the concern of serialization, but I'm also going to separate the concern of managing the TCP connection. So I'm going to create a class that will be my TCP server. And it needs to be a component. And let's make the Redis serializer first. And I'll create another class that will help me do all the serialization and deserialization into and from the RESP serialization protocol. And I'll call that class a RESP serializer. It also needs to be a component. Let's make a few methods in it so that we are able to test if our dependency injection is working fine or not. I'm creating two. And in my TCP server, I'll inject the RESP serializer. Now, auto-wide is not the best way to inject dependencies. That would be a private final field with a constructor. I don't feel like using Lombok. I don't feel like writing constructors. I prefer using Lombok. I tried setting up Lombok in this project and I was facing some issues. Going forward, I'll try to resolve those issues. I think it was because of some issue that Spring Boot version with Lombok. Lombok does not work for all Spring Boot versions. It has some compatibility issues. I can create constructors on my own. I would need to use Lombok. Let's see. I'll do that later, maybe. Don't hold your breath. And now in the main class, what I can do is I can get the dependencies from the context. I'm able to inject RESP serializer into my TCP server because my TCP server is a component itself, but my main class is not a component. It's not a Spring Boot application. If it were a Spring Boot application, perhaps I would be able to, but I'm not creating it into a Spring Boot application. So what I'm going to do is get the bean out from the context, like so. Uh, yeah. So this will call the start server method in my TCP server. My TCP server has a start server method that's calling the print working method of the RESP serializer. This is not being used anywhere. I can remove it, but I'm not going to remove it because I'll be setting up integration testing and I'll start with this first random method just to see if my context is being loaded fine into my tests and whatnot. So with this, if I run my application, I should be able to see this random ass line in the logs. Let's see. Ah, I can even set up a debugging point here and instead I can debug it. So I can see the control is coming here and dependency injection is working fine. And if I come to the console, I see this line was printed here. So I'm going to end this video here. It's a very short one, but I wanted to keep it separate from the core logic of the application. This is just the initial setup that you have to do in a project, and why I'm keeping it as a different video is so that you can use this video in itself to set up dependency injection in any of your other projects. So that's the aim here, and yeah, that's about it. See you in the next one.